From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Foremost group of elder statesmen, the Patriots, conclude national summit with communique suggesting new democratic constitution for Nigeria. Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention issues nationwide alert of potential spike in cholera, yellow fever, among other cases. New reports cast doubt over President Trump's claim that U.S. military strikes obliterated Iran's nuclear program.
In business, Dangote refinery holds fuel discount scheme amid fraud allegations.
And in sport, Nigeria Super Falcons put up 5-star performance against Zambia to qualify for Women's Africa Cup of Nations semi-finals.
Thank you for tuning in. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight with the 2025 National Constitutional Summit, which concluded in Abuja, the federal capital, with key resolutions aimed at replacing the 1999 Constitution with a people-driven alternative. Convened by the Patriots, a coalition of elder statesmen and national icons, the three-day summit kicked off on Wednesday, July the 16th. Though the event saw moments of tension and disagreement, particularly over issues such as system of government and geopolitical restructuring, organizers say those concerns have been resolved through consensus and broad consultation across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones.
Of President Bola Tinubu would accede to the requests and demands of Nigerians. And therefore, we are proceeding methodically into implementation. In the next 1 or 2 weeks, we are going to make presentations to the President himself of the resolution. We are going to produce a draft legislation that will be sent to the National Assembly to effect the recommendations of the summit. Before the end of this year, you would have seen progress made in that direction in the country.
What happened was that there was a slight disagreement on an issue which had to do with the structure of the federation. So what we did, therefore, was to use the 1-hour break to go into a conference amongst the leadership where we took the points again one by one, and then we paneled them out and came back here.
There's no doubt that the summit is representative of Nigeria. It is not accidental that it was so. It was because ab initio it was designed to be so. The summit that we had is a 3-day program, but before then we have had since last year a whole series of consultation and deliberation around the country.
Meanwhile, a federal legislator, Senator Ned Nwoko, representing Delta North, has reacted to the clamor for a new constitution, saying the current document, as amended, is workable. Nwoko said Nigerians' plight did not arise from the constitution itself, but from welfare-related challenges. He noted that the National Assembly will only amend sections of the constitution and the ongoing amendment processes are sufficient for addressing concerns raised by citizens. Nwoko noted that it is only unfair to say that the country should trash the current document and create an entirely new one, adding that there can never be a perfect constitution anywhere in the world. For this conversation, I'm joined now by a professor of constitutional law and member of the Patriots, Maxwell Gidado. It's a pleasure to have you on the news tonight. Thank you for giving us your time. I mean, you just had Ned Woko there say that we don't need a new constitution. There is no perfect constitution. But the communique released earlier, the confab says they're suggesting a total overhaul of the 1999 constitution as amended. Is our existing document that bad? Prof, can you hear me? Good evening. Okay, I understand our connection is a bit hazy. We'll try and make that connection subsequently, but let's move on with the news and tell you that President Bola Tinubu on Friday arrived in Kano State to commiserate with the family of the late elder statesman and philanthropist Alhaji Aminu Dantata. Tinubu's presidential aircraft touched down at the Aminu Kano International Airport around 3:30 p.m., where he was received by the Kano governor, Abba Yusuf, Deputy Senate President Barao Jibrin, and other top government officials. During his visit, Tinubu paid a condolence visit to the Dantata family and extended sympathies to the people and government of Kano State over the death of the businessman.
Sisters and brothers, this is a personal commitment for me that I should be here to condole with you as the Dantata family members and the entire state of Kano. All our honorable members, I want to thank you for showing up gracefully and honorably. I know what you did for him, but here is a man of immense personality, honesty, integrity, and philanthropy, commitment to humanity in every aspect of the way. If they do friendship and they do contact over and beyond in the other world, Elijah Dantata will be in the marketplace distributing food to the hungry and giving the sick the happiness and the needs that they want. It's so generous, so good, so committed to great value of our country.
Meanwhile, family of late elder statesman and philanthropist Aminu Dantata has lauded President Tinubu for his condolence visits to the family home in Kano, despite the tight schedule of his office. One of the sons of the late Dantata, Bashir Dantata, made this known in an exclusive interview with News Central following the visit by the president. He says the president's personal visit is indicative of his love for the late patriarch and citizens of the country, and assured that the family will put in their best to sustain their late father's legacies. To judicial matters now, the federal government on Friday told a federal high court sitting in Abuja to reject the no-case submission filed by the Biafran nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu, saying his threats to break up Nigeria and establish a Republic of Biafra should not be considered an empty boast. Government said Kanu's action had led to the death of scores of security agents and Nigerians. Counsel to the federal government argued specifically that the Biafran leaders' many broadcasts cost Nigerians great pain. However, Kanu, through his lead counsel, had faulted the prosecution of his client. Among others, he said that throughout the proceedings, no single witness was called to tell the court how he was incited by Kanu to resort to violence. The senior lawyer drew the attention of the courts to the fact that charges against Kanu were amended 8 times, yet no one came to testify he was instigated to violence. Let's take on health matters. One of our headlines, actually. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a nationwide alert warning of a potential spike in cholera, yellow fever, and dengue fever cases. In a statement signed by Jide Idris, its Director General, the NCDC said the alert follows recent forecast by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, which identified Sokoto, Kaduna, Zamfara, Yobe, and several other states as being at heightened risk of flash floods this July. The agency also raised concerns about yellow fever and dengue fever, both of which are spread by mosquitoes that thrive in stagnant water left over from floods. The NCDC confirmed an outbreak of dengue fever in Edo State between June 9 and 13, with lab tests validating the surge in cases. Dr. Jonathan Dangana, Assistant Professor Public Health Department of Babcock University, joins me now for this conversation. Thank you for giving us your time. There has been a flood of warning, not just from NIMED, but from health experts, saying that people should be concerned about a possible outbreak of this disease. Talk to us what this would mean if you string all of them together. Okay, I think you need to unmute your device. Your device is muted. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. So we're talking about cholera, we're talking about other ailments, we're talking about dengue. Already Edo State has it. What should we be looking at? What is the conversation in your circles as to what Nigerians should be looking at with this warning?
Well, thank you very much. And it is quite very worrisome to see that this preventable situation is still bringing its ugly head within the Nigerian space and among populations across the country. The conversations, in my opinion, that should begin to encircle every circle of where human activity takes place are preventive measures that we must do. And now this is the time for public health and public health professionals across the country to rise up in one voice to speak up. And like I said, it is a preventable condition. It is not a death sentence. And these preventable options are not things that are too far from personal hygiene. Okay, even though you have environmental factors that will play a key role, but a bulk of it is actually human activity. Yes, so of course you will have heavy downpour, heavy down rainfall, but then beyond rainfall, what will make rainfall, begin to find its way into people's home? Exactly. So number one, you begin to look at what is the sanitation practice among citizens. Are drainages really, performing the function of drainages, or have we translated drainages to become the new disposal junctions? You go across the country, you will see that there are homes, communities, even within our big cities, that the drainages have become where people, bring refuse and dump. So when the rains fall, it becomes difficult for even the rain to find the passage that it needs. And as such, when rain and downpour of water cannot find its path as to where it ought to go, then of course flooding becomes the next very much option.
So I want you to expand a bit on the hygiene measures. Emphasize
the issue, the issue of hand washing, also preparing of food. How do we, so a bulk of it is now, meddle on the activity.
Okay, Doc, if you can hear me, I see your system is frozen a bit. Every year in recent years, we've always had this warning coming up that people should prepare not just for the flooding, but for cholera outbreak, what would be a long-term strategy for the government to work better to prevent the need for these warnings from our health experts? Doc, did you get my question?
Can you please take that again?
Yes, I'm talking about long-term strategies. Every year we get this alert, disease outbreak likely, and then we do hear people get infected. I'm asking what would be long-term strategies for government to, you know, perhaps when you talk about converting our drains to, dump sites, is there something long-term that the government can do to re-educate people to stop doing that, and other more serious measures? I will apologize for the interruptions with the network. Doctor, can you confirm you can hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm asking for long-term strategies. I mean, we get this warning every year. Beyond telling people to clean their drainage system and stop using it as refuse dump, what other measures can the government take to cut down on the need for this warning every year?
I think do our own human part, even when the other environmental factors, you know, begin to manifest, the impacts will be very minimal. And of course, and when I'm talking of impact in this context, I'm even referring to the mortality, the death rate. But then, of course, you still find in areas, even within cities, open defecation. And these are predisposing factors. Do we have safe drinking water? Do people practice, you know, personal hygiene? As simple as even frequent hand washing. Do we also, are we looking into the activities of our food vendors, you know, aka Mama Put? Are we looking into their practices? What is their personal hygiene? So I'm saying that there are long-term measures that can be put in place, and the bulk of it is born on the human behavior. And until we are able to have a change in human behavior, a bulk of the situation will still remain what it is. And of course, maybe this is a clarion call that, you know, sanitation and some very tough measures be put in place, especially on homes and individuals who live in the pathway of water. Of course, you will see that there are also individuals who are building homes in such a way that there is no even drainage. So
okay, so two questions. Some of the visuals that was Bureau that was playing while you were talking showed places where there is no obvious drainage, and we still have cases like that today where communities build without proper planning. I guess that's more like what I was looking for you to speak to the government in terms of long-term plans to compel citizens to follow the rule, follow the law, to ensure that we build cities that are sustainable, not just in terms of longevity, but for our health concerns. Also, I'm wondering, would you be an advocate for the return of sanitation officers when we talk about Mama Put and, you know, public spaces and all that?
Absolutely, I will be a strong advocate, but my advocacy will take a different dimension, that the principles must remain, but the methodology must change. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is how the functions of these individuals were in time past need to change in order to meet up with the contemporary demands. We cannot bring them, you know, these environmental health officers and still expect them to still function as how they were in the 70s or in the 60s, as the case may be, or in the 80s. Today, there are other means and methods by which the same objective can be achieved. And I think it's a time for us as public health professionals, within and without, to begin to look inward. But I think one critical thing that we must also learn to put into perspective is that there is no community that is a bunch of stupid people that are living. In other words, within each community, there are inherent methods that they have seen that have worked for them over time. So how do we reconcile ourselves with this new method that we're bringing vis-a-vis what has been working? So is to say, listen, you have had this, it has worked to this level, but we need to scale up to this level. And by the time we allow communities to take ownership, you will see that a bulk of what we are actually out.
Doc, thank you very much for being here with us. We appreciate your time. Let's go back to our top story tonight. We did tell you that the 2025 National Constitutional Summit concluded in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, with key resolutions aimed at replacing the 1999 Constitution with a people-driven alternative. For that conversation, I'm joined now by a law and governance expert, Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Just before this program, I watched the video of the Bayelsa State Governor, Doye Dire, talking to the Constitution Review Committee in his state and saying it's looking like a waste of time and money. And then you have this summit coming up to say that we need a total overhaul. Is that possible? And is the document that bad?
Well, thank you for having me. I think two things can be true. One, that the process taken by the National Assembly looks more like a joke. I have said this several times, even when Jonathan was president. I've been to National Assembly under former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu, that the notion that every National Assembly must go through this ritual of bringing together 13, 20 terms of amendments and go through 2 days of rowdy, uncoordinated, so-called hearing is nonsensical. And again, the research is clear for scholars that constitutions that are often interfered, amended, changed, lead to political stability. Most of the stable politics in the world have very old constitutions. The US Constitution, with over 200 years, has just 25 amendments. And each of those amendments went through 2 years, 4 years, 5 years of rigorous discussion on one issue, and then only one issue is altered. And that's really how this works. So this notion of every National Assembly putting together couple hundreds or tens of issues and say we'll go to 4 places in 6 zones across the country, 2 hours, 3 hours, they fold and collect money and go away. It's not just almost meaningless, but stupid. And
so is this the answer? Is this summit the answer, sir?
The second point is about the patriots at their summit. The patriots, the notion also of having, I spoke at that meeting and I said very clear that we should put more rigor in constitutional, if we want to change this constitution, a new constitution, the methodology should be different. We need to have conversations and then say that we have a national conference where we re-theorize the basis of the Nigerian state and they use that political theory to say this is who we want to become. For example, we're talking about moving from parliamentary to presidential, moving from single tenure, instead of, those things are cosmetics. They don't really address. But if you look at all over the world, different countries, some prosperous, some poor, some functional, some not functional, have different mix of institutional arrangement. So, for example, the parliamentary system in France is different from the one in Germany. France is both presidential and parliamentary. Israel is a different model. So I think that my worry is that our leaders are not thinking through, and they're trying to solve evident political problems through unending constitutional reform. And that's why President Obasanjo, in the lecture speech he gave at that summit, said the point about operators being the problem, not the rules. Yes, 2 things can be true. We need to do some major revision of our constitution. But I think that the issues we need to talk about are not the ones I'm talking about. For example, citizenship. we need to begin to assert a common Nigerian citizenship. We need to take seriously Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which creates a framework for what I called in that meeting democratic citizenship, so that we can now begin to make economic, social implications of citizenship very evident. So I think that our leaders are underserving the country by focusing to being fixated around structure to the point that we think that until we recreate this constitution, we cannot solve obvious problems. Take example, INEC.
I'm sorry to interject, but we're time pressed. About coming off what you're saying, you've said a couple of things. You said that the committee review is largely a waste of time. And then we have this summit coming up to say that they are going to do geopolitical-wide consultation before they come up with a document that they are going to take to the National Assembly. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have the National Assembly doing their own review, and people who should be commenting on whatever document that comes up saying that we don't need it. People like Senator Ned Nwoko saying that we don't need a new constitution, but what we need is good governance, you know, all the yada yada that they say. Where do we start really? And how do we go from here? Because we have to start from somewhere. These patriots are saying, instead of keeping talking, let's do something.
I agree with you. For example, do one thing. The issue about the gender bill, for example, giving women extra exclusive seat. You don't need to go across the country. You just have to go through a normal constitutional process. You know, if you look at the Constitution, it talks about bills to alter the Constitution. So my worry is this carnival of going around the country. Just one bill. Every time, look at one issue that's important. Keep it at the table for long. Let people debate. Don't go around a circus. Let people debate. Then their representatives will vote on those things. So I think there are things we should do quickly. On the Electoral Act, for example, why don't you start with first removing the appointing power of the president over INEC, something that Weah's recommended since 1998, yes, sorry, 2008, Weah's recommended it. It's easy to do. So there are things we need to alter, small constitutional alterations, but they should not be done as if we are going through a kind of, because first, you need about more than 6 months. You look at the US, they talk about the US convention. The US delegates met, after 2-3 weeks, they go back. 6 months, they write books, they write the Federalist paper, they talk about it, they come back 3 months ago to discuss until they have consensus. We're not doing that. You go to Enugu, one day, they give a speech, So my view is that, let's be real, take one thing, and fix that thing, whether it's subsidy for women, whether it's citizenship rights.
I mean, it also depends. This is your, submission as to where we can pick from. Some other person will have another view as to where we should start from. It is a complex conversation, but one we must have.
Take one issue, discuss it.
All right, sir, we'll have to leave it there.
Take it and think through it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
Still ahead tonight, Liberians march against what they call broken promises by President Boakai's administration. We have the story and more after the break. Thank you for staying with us. The Lagos State chapter of the Labour Party has expressed its concern regarding the irregularities that happened during the just concluded local government elections held in the state. State chairman of the party, Dayo Ekong, made this known at the party secretariat, where she accused both the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, LISEC, and the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, of nefarious activities that affected the overall electoral process. She, however, revealed that plans are underway in taking the matter to court.
The deliberate use of pencil for result sheets under the flimsy guise of reducing error was nothing short of an open invitation to alter results. And I say it that it is a tactic straight from the fraudster's handbook. If the election had been free and fair, because the sympathy of the people lies with Labour Party, that happens to be the People's Party, we would have won the election. But we all saw it. For the media people that went round during the June 12 election.
Outside Nigeria, hundreds of protesters flooded the streets of Monrovia on Thursday, braving heavy rain to denounce President Joseph Boakai's leadership. Marchers accused the president of corruption, economic mismanagement, and failing to fulfill campaign promises. Critics say Boakai is favoring members of his unity party and targeting officials tied to the former George Weah administration. One civil servant claimed he was forced into retirement. A young trader said Boakai had taken food from their parents' table. The government insists it has suspended corrupt officials and is strengthening investor ties. Former South African footballers and doctors converged on Soweto on Friday to give support to the elderly and underprivileged as part of activities to mark this year's Mandela Day, celebrated annually on July 18, his birthday. From handing out food parcels to blankets to fixing up orphanages and getting kids active through sports, organizers told News Centro's Bongani Sisiba that there was need to keep the former South African president and anti-apartheid hero's legacy alive by giving 67 minutes of their time to humanity every year.
This day is so important to us because of it shows humility, Ubuntu, which Nelson Mandela mentioned before, that Ubuntu unites the community and brings unity in our community.
Because of today, I made sure that, I've seen, I was here not long ago, it was cold. Elderly people, I decided to create blankets as well because they need to be warm at all times. Those are our parents. And at the same time, I also brought in slippers, for them to wear.
Mandela Day means a very special thing to me because it's about showing Ubuntu to our elderly residents and also to our children.
You must spend 67 minutes of your day by showing humanity, kindness, and helping people who are needy.
There is growing skepticism over President Donald Trump's claim that recent U.S. airstrikes obliterated Iran's nuclear program. Reports from major U.S. outlets are citing intelligence assessments that suggest only one of the 3 targeted Iranian nuclear facilities was actually destroyed. New assessments from the U.S. intelligence reported by the Washington Post and NBC News say that only the Fordow enrichment facility was destroyed in last month's American strikes against Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Let's take a short break here, and when we return, we'll be bringing you business, sports, and entertainment. Time for business update, and we have Perpetua to do the honors. Good evening, Perpetua.
Good evening to you too. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has suspended its discounted fuel supply scheme after uncovering a diversion racket by affiliate marketers. The refinery added that investigations revealed that some marketers whom it granted discounted products were rerouting fuel trucks to unregistered third parties for profit. The scheme was designed to help registered affiliates maintain margins amid import-driven price competition and ensure nationwide product availability. However, by handing off authority to collect tickets to unauthorized marketers, corporates bypassed operational costs and exploited the price gap, prompting Dangote to halt the initiative and review its distribution processes. The Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the 29 billion naira fraud case involving former Adamawa State Governor Vice Admiral Murtala Nyako and the EFCC to July 25. EFCC Counsellor Rotimi Jacobs said the delay was due to the 7-day national mourning declared after former President Muhammadu Buhari's death. He added that it prevented the Attorney General from meeting key parties to finalize the plea bargain. Nyako and his son, Abdulaziz, along with others, are accused of money laundering and diverting state funds through 5 companies. Both prosecution and defense indicated that negotiations for an out-of-court settlement are at an advanced stage. Justice Peter Lufu granted the adjournment with no objection from any party. To stock market now, the industrial goods sector powered ahead with a 19.17% week-on-week rally, driving the All-Share Index up 4.31% week-over-week. Specifically for Friday, Boa Cement 9.98% and Dangote's Cement 4.58% starts another positive day, driving today's 1% uptick for the All-Share Index. You might also want to add that Nestle's 9.09% gain, which made it close today at 1,800 naira added to what we're seeing. And consequently, the All-Share Index year-to-date returns increased to 27.84%. And now let's take a look at the snapshot. You can see it's up 1%, and then it's closing. That's the All-Share Index 131,585.21. Market capitalization another high there, 83.24 trillion naira. To sector performance now, it was mostly positive today as 3 out of 5 sectors under our coverage closed green. And beginning with the banking sector, it is down 108 basis points. And of course, we saw select banks near overbought levels. And because of that, investors took profit for a second straight day, with First Hope and Zenith Bank leading losses in that particular space. Conversely, we have insurance up 59 basis points, reversing Thursday's losses. And then you have the oil and gas closing flat. Now to consumer goods closing up 122 basis points. I mean, that's not a surprise because gains in NASCON and select mid to low cap names in the segment helped lift the index today. Hence, it gained 122 basis points and closing, of course, expectedly with industrial goods 560 basis points. That's the best performer for the day, and you definitely know why. We talked about Boa Cement and Dangote Cement earlier. Well, of course, that wraps up business tonight for the week. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasamepita. Tonight continues with Felicity.
Next up is sports. Favor has the honors.
Thank you very much, Felicity. Nigeria advanced to the semi-finals of the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations with a dominant 5-0 win over Zambia in Casablanca. The Super Falcons opened scoring the second minute through Osinachi Ohale and never looked back. Esther Okoronkwo and Chiwendu Hezwo added goals before halftime, while Oluwatosin Demei and Folashade Jamilusi sealed the rout in the second half. Despite high expectations for Zambia, their star forward Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundenaji were neutralized, failing to register a shot on target. Nigeria, who are yet to concede a goal in the tournament, will now face either South Africa or Senegal in the semi-finals on Tuesday as they pursue their 10th WAFCON title. Our correspondent Onyechi Obaro joins us from Casablanca, Morocco. Onyechi, good evening to you. All right, what did Coach Justin Madugu say about the team's performance and execution of the game plan against Zambia?
Thank you so much, Favour. Big congratulations to the Super Falcons of Nigeria who were able to tame the Copper Queens. Now, during the pre-match conference, the post-match conference, I beg your pardon, after the game, the coach says that he's not head over heels concerning the results of this encounter. But, yes, he was determined to get a win against the Copper Queens of Zambia in order to pick that semi-final ticket, which has been done. But, yes, the flattery results coming by 5-0, he was really satisfied with that. Never expected that it was going to be 5-0 in the first place, but was satisfied with that win. He says that he's happy that he was able to try some young ones in the starting lineup against the Copper Queens, and that was what made the change in the game. The likes of Falashade, Jami Lucy coming in, of course, playing full 90 minutes and even scoring at the end of the day, her first WAFCON goal. So congratulations to the young player, of course, who had a hat-trick against Algeria in that international friendly. The coach is really satisfied with the girls and says the next thing for the girls is to focus on the semi-final, so as to, put Mission X on a very active one.
I mean, you've talked about the semi-finals preparations already ahead of the semi-finals. What should Nigerians expect in terms of the play? And do you how about motivations from the NFF? Do you think the ladies are really motivated going into the semi-finals against either Senegal or South Africa?
Yes, they are motivated. This win was an emphatic one for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Yes, the last time that the Super Falcons faced the Zambians was an own goal, and they played without the likes of Rachel Kudananji and Barbara Banda, their start forwards. But this time around, Barbara Banda was clipped. She could not even make any shot on target. Rachel Kudananji did try, but she had Nigeria's defense standing so strong. The defense combination of Ashley Plumpton, Tosin Dimei, or Hale. We saw some centre-backs scoring goals in this encounter. The girls are indeed impressed for the fact that they made a statement win against the Copper Queens. In the first place, they never thought that the Copper Queens was going to get ahead of them. They knew their worth, they knew the kind of players they had in the crop, and they still maintained that clean sheet. Still today, we had Shemaka Nnadozie. She was having a field day, did not even get to, go through any of the nets there. But at the end of the day, the girls were really impressed. We could see from that reaction from Asisat Oshwala, who says, no be mouth, no be cho, using her words. She said that semi-final is the next one, and they're expecting their next opponent, be it South Africa or Senegal, they should come.
All right, YouTuber, you've talked about also the semi-finals to expect either of Senegal or South Africa. The Supporters Club, just about a day ago, they did complain about not being able to make that trip due to funding. I mean, what are the updates? Do you think that it will be ahead of time to be able to go all the way to Morocco to support Nigeria when they play the semi-finals, next week?
We have not heard any concrete information about the arrival of the Supporters Club, but I tell you, the Super Falcons have got great supporters here in Casablanca. Talk about the journalists. I also joined in the floor. I joined in cheering the girls, in screaming and shouting. I had to leave the media zone and then go be a patriotic Nigerian there, join the fans in cheering the who were doing all the work there. You could see from the videos that I did present there for social media. The fans are really, they are hyped up. They keep hyping girls. They keep giving them, of course, nicknames. Black Diamond did score in the person of Chiwendu Ihezuo. Oyibo, of course, Ashley Plumpton. They know that she's that strong defense for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Though we did not see much of Super Falcons Conte, who is Deborah Abiodun. Yes, Agbabola, at the time she was supposed to be substituted, she gave a little bit of dance, victory dance, because she knew that it was a sealed one. She made an attempt on goal, but could not convert it. But the win is for everyone. So Nigerians they're supporting the Super Falcons all the way.
All right, thank you very much, Onyechi Obaro, for that update all the way from Casablanca, Morocco. We're looking forward to more updates from you as the tournament progresses, and that wraps it up on Sports Update tonight. And Favour Itua Entertainment is up next.
right, now it's time to jump right into entertainment. And as we always do, when you see a smile on my face, you know we're celebrating Afrobeats. Now, Davido's 2019 hit with Chris Brown, Blow My Mind, has officially gone gold in the U.S., selling over 500,000 units according to the RIAA. Produced by Sheezy, the trademark a major, Afrobeats crossover moment and has since raked up over 100 million views on YouTube. It's another big win for Davido, who has been a driving force in taking Afrobeats global. Yep, his musical chemistry with Chris Brown has only grown stronger with multiple collaborations and a rumored joint EP on the way. While Blow My Mind shines gold today, fans are already anticipating more chart-topping magic from the duo. Well, you know how it is with Afrobeats. We're always here to give you all the updates. Now, let's jump into something quite interesting. This is Nollywood. Now, Nollywood actress Lizzie Anjorin has reignited her feud with Iyabo Ojo, dropping fresh bombshells in the fiery Instagram post that she put out. Now, she accused Iyabo Ojo of hiring someone to secretly film her husband, faking a death certificate to collect donations. Now, stalking her family and spreading damaging gossip. Lizzie also claimed Iyabo Ojo used a fake diamond ring story involving Senator Dino Milai to stir up drama and curse her publicly. This comes after Iyabo's 1 billion naira defamation lawsuit against Lizzie was dismissed with a 500,000 naira cost imposed on her side. Iyabo has since warned Lizzie, vowing consequences if anything happens to her or her kids. Now, what can I say? Nollywood and drama. Well, Felicity, before I go, I just want to say this. Do you think it's okay for celebrities to bring their issues to social media for everybody to see almost every time?
What do you call them? Celebrities?
Yeah.
They have to be in your face in order for them to stay relevant. So somehow I think that some of this feud is personal, but they bring it out because people are curious about their celebrities and what is going on. And that keeps them in business, if you ask me.
I like that. I like that. Well, maybe that's what they do. Well, that's all we have in entertainment tonight.
And that's the news tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. Foremost group of elder statesmen, the Patriots, conclude national summit with communique suggesting a new democratic constitution for Nigeria. NCDC issues nationwide alert of potential spike in cholera, yellow fever, among other cases. New report casts doubt over President Trump's claim that U.S. military strike obliterated Iran's nuclear program. As always, we'd like to hear from you. Please reach us using the number on your screen to share eyewitness reports and information. You can follow us on all social media platforms at News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.